Can you take a three-key article, three keys, and turn it into coaching, courses, continuity, and maybe even a digital empire? We're going to answer that question for you right after this. Welcome, everyone, to episode 81 of the Content Profit Show. And thank you all for being fans and followers. It's just crazy how fast this has grown. If you're watching on YouTube, and even if you're not, head on over there and subscribe because that's growing too. And so, just thank you all very, very much. If you want a Content Profit sheet, it's right below my name. The link there. It's jeffherring.com/. Um, Save the date, SAVE dash date. I mean, dash the dash date. Um, we're scheduling now for August. So if you want to get in, get in. It's awesome and it's cool and it's fun. Also, next week we start Summer of Profit 23. Um, reason 23 is because we did it in 22. We're doing it again, but made it even better, I think. I don't have the URL to pop up here for you, but check your email. It's in there, the way I've been doing email lately. So, all right. So we got a great guest today. Over here is Debora. Is it Deborah or
Deborah.
Debora? Deborah. Deborah,
Deborah.
good. Okay. And we've known each other quite a while. She's in my community, and we're both in a community together. And I was thrilled when she scheduled one of these. So Deborah, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jeff. I am enjoying being here.
Well, I'm glad you're here. You brought some good stuff. Now, how did you get into this? And what is it? How do you what is it you say you do, and how'd you get into it?
What I say I do is I'm a business results strategist.
Ooh, I
My
love that.
passion, thank you. My passion is to work with hands on owners of family businesses. Now, not all my clients are family business engaged, but they all are owners of businesses and they are all actively participating in those businesses. Sometimes solopreneurs, sometimes with a team, sometimes multiple locations. I got into this over 20 years ago. And that was after a good stint of education, practice, avocation, and a lot of headaches. As a journalist, I was a writer, a publication manager, an editor, and I had the
Right.
great good fortune to work with trade publications. So differently than general media and,
Right.
and the circus that passes for that today. I was always connecting directly with the people that I was writing for and about. They were the heart of what I did. I had to make sure that every article, everything that I talked about, every interview that I did had direct impact on my readers because sometimes it made a difference in their
Right.
business.
Right.
While I was doing that, I was able, I didn't know it at the time, the things we stumble into. I was developing a unique skill set in business observation and analysis. And so, what that has allowed me to do when I made somewhat of a pivot in my career, moving from publishing and journalism into client work, I get to be that compassionate outsider. I get to not be the one in the middle of everything that's going on, but the one who can lend an ear, lend a comment, lend some ideas, and lend some outside resources.
I love it. I love
Thank
it.
you.
What a cool thing to be in. And let's Speaking of cool things, let's take a look at your article. Here we go. That's your medium. Let's go to your article. I love this title, The Quickest Way to Lose a Client. You can always hook them with a negative. And three keys to strengthen your client bond. And that was a phrase I'd never heard before. Strengthen your client bond. I think that's cool. Trust is the reason your client buys from you. So easy to break. Um, and then you talk about three ways to build it and build that bond. The first one's keep your promises. Gosh, if people would just do that, you know.
Yeah.
And one of the things I thought of as I read through these three things is it's really not hard to build trust this way. It's just that most people don't do it.
Hmm.
It's kind of like follow through. It's not hard, but most people don't do it. And when you do it, you're standing.
Exactly.
So keep your promises. I was thinking about this before we went live. Forgot who I learned this from, but when something goes wrong, um, there are three parts to it. What happened? What should have happened? How can we make it right? And by
Exactly.
using that, I've turned really mad people into fans that were really upset about stuff. And, they were ready for battle. And I'm like, well, no need to battle about it. Take action, keep them in the loop, fix what breaks. See, what I like about that is that the presupposition is stuff breaks. Right?
It's a given.
Well, I did it when I sent you a note about today. I made you think it was the Friday time instead of the Wednesday time. So yeah. Um, let's see. One of the things I like to say is that when I do mess up live, I just I fess up and I mess up, I fess up, and then I try to show people how to fix it. You know.
Yeah.
Um, and then the third one, manage change positively. You know who the only person is who always likes change?
I can think of a couple things, but I'll leave that punchline to you.
Okay, thank you. A wet baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, um, yeah, if yeah. Oh, like how you use an example here. It's interesting you use an example of somebody leaving a place because in the '80s I ran a drug rehab for kids, and
Oh,
um, it was one of those close knit kind of groups that when somebody left, they were like, the bad person, right? And so,
yeah.
I it was time for me to leave because I was making in a week, sometimes in a day, in my private practice, what I was making there. But you know what? It took me a year because I was so invested in those kids, some of who are friends now on Facebook. But
Well,
to try to do it differently than this example, I got everyone that I was on staff with a small gift, um, just to kind of commemorate what I learned from them and our time together. Now, that didn't wipe out all the people. Two people were still mad, but,
yeah.
those are the kind of folks that are going to be mad no matter what. So the three things again, I love it. I love it. Whoops, whoops. I passed it. I passed it. I passed it. Keep your promises, fix what breaks, and manage change positively. I love it. Nicely done. Well,
Thank you.
you want to do some stuff with those three things?
I absolutely do. Been
Here
looking
we go.
forward to this part.
Yay, me too. Here we go. Let's put this in the slideshow form. And it's blank. Oh my gosh, Jeff. Well, here we go. So I'm calling it your strengthening your client bond article. That's the
Oh,
phrase that stood out to me. You can call it whatever you want. Does that kind of capture what you're talking about though? Strengthening your client bond?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, it really
All right.
does.
And the cool thing about this article is you've got several more right here, at least three, because you can do an article about each one of those three keys. And and I can tell when I read somebody's article that knows their stuff because I can see there's so much more you can create content about. That's beautiful. And so that'll help you get medium traffic. And you've got an account, you've gotten started, so that's good. You can build the momentum there. Um, the most recent stats I read is that there are 3.2 or 3.3 million visitors a day to Medium. Okay?
Oh,
Yeah.
my word.
Yeah,
I
it's
had
crazy.
no idea it had grown so
Yeah,
fast.
when I first heard about it in 2012, I played with it, but yeah, and it wasn't really until 2019 I went, wait a minute, this has become something. And so, yeah, three point something million dollars. That'd be nice. Million visitors a day, um, and they're in all niches. And I've researched yours, and they're over there too. Okay, so we talk a lot about coaching, courses, and continuity. Okay. And so if you wanted to, one of the things you could do um, is what I call a short term group coaching. And it can be as long as, you know, 3 to 5 sessions. Um, and the difference between that and a short term membership is a membership has really unlimited people. Something like this, you got to
Okay.
keep it limited. Like my favorite to do is the one shot. Um, and it's one of the first things I ever did online. Um, it was either late '06 or early '07 when I was first starting out. And I invited 5 people onto a 90-minute or 2 hour teleseminar where I did a website review for them. Okay? And each person got 20 minutes focused, and we could go back and forth, and 150 bucks a person. So, 750 for 2 hours work is wasn't bad then, and it ain't bad now. Um, so, if you were going to give one of your clients, one thing in a 20-minute session like that, would you give them one of those 3 things, or would you teach them how to do something else?
I think that's a great question. Um, because I could easily give them one of these three key points. I could also, depending on where they were, um, I also have an opportunity for an assessment of their business that is pretty close to pain free. It's called the Aspire analysis.
I like that. Pain
And
free, inspire. Yep.
yeah, so I think it would be one of these three keys because this is so close to everything that happens every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. And
And
okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
that opportunity for them to really to self-report. They don't have to go out and do a bunch of research and
Right.
this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
There's some simple questions that allow them to take a step back from being in the middle of things to
Yes.
really say, oh, what do I have here? What
Yeah.
already works?
Yeah.
Because
To get a view.
sometimes we
Yeah.
forget.
That's why I will always have a coach, because I'm I'm good, but I'm always too close to see everything. So that's awesome. All right. So yes, I love this. There's lots of stuff you could do. And then we're looking at um, a strengthening your client bond course. Do you have any courses now?
I do. They're built around not so much courses per se as in completely self-study, but they're built around my long-time model of one-to-one client work and my growing model of small group work,
Okay.
where we kind of get deeper into things and explore.
I like that growing model there. We're gonna do some stuff with that. With this, I mean, those 3 things could become a 3 module course easily all by itself. Make it a 5 module with putting the get started here on the front and the next success steps on the end. Um, and then working backwards, each one of those 3 things, Deborah, could be its own mini course, or as Cindy calls them, a tiny course. Um,
I love
so,
that.
so yeah, I mean, out of that one, you've got 4 products right there, and that's just one piece. One piece of what you do. Um, Here's where it gets kind of just every time I look at this, I get excited. Um, Strengthen your client bond, short term membership. And by that, I mean like 8 to 12 weeks. And there's a strategy there. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. Um, but you could take these 3 things, okay, and over an 8-week time, teach, like you could do like week 1 would be training. Okay. Week 2 would be implementation. Okay. And then you do that cycle again and have a couple left over. You could do bonuses or whatever. The cool thing about a short-term membership is it bypasses the resistance some people still have, to join in a membership. Whoops, I didn't mean to do either one of those things. Um, thank
Well, it
God.
was exciting.
Thank God for reversing. Okay, we'll get to that. Jeez, speaking of messing up. Okay, so you and I are old enough of the same generation to remember the Columbia House record club. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody gets that expression. 11 albums for 1 cent, and then you're paying out the nose for the rest of them, right? Um, I got in one, made my parents really mad. Um,
Yeah.
so this bypasses that. There's an endpoint to it. Okay, and so one of the reasons I say at least 7 to 8 weeks is so that you can bill them for 2 months. Let's say you're
Yeah.
doing it for 37 bucks, 37 bucks first month, 37 bucks second month. Okay. The reason for that is then if you build a monthly membership and charge 37 bucks, after they've been in this, it's easy to say, well, you've done this twice. All you got to do is keep doing it, you know,
Right.
to move in. And so another cool part about these 3 pieces, well, yeah, these 3 pieces. Well, no, let's make it 4. Um, about 25% of the people that are members of one of these end up in the membership. About a third of these people in a course end up here, and half of the people that take a short-term membership are going to wind up in your monthly, which is all of these things are good to have, but the ones that get you monthly income it's just sweet knowing that's coming in every month. I mean,
Yeah.
it's I was I was somewhere recently with some friends, and my phone went ka-ching like it does when an order comes in, and it was somebody in a monthly, um, but one of the higher ticket things, and they go, "You made that much money while sitting here eating breakfast?" And I said, "Well, the short answer is yes. But what you don't see is the hours and years that went behind being able to sit here at breakfast and that happened because that was not overnight." So anyway, um, getting a getting a glimpse of the future here.
I am, and it's from a different perspective. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Than I've been operating with, and I'm loving these new opportunities because I've been in your community for a while. It's not like this is all new language to me,
Right.
but sitting here with you today, I'm really taking it in a different way and seeing how, yes, this actually can apply to me. And I can then help people in ways and with connecting points that I hadn't really thought about before. So, yeah.
Yay. That just made my day. And I got to tell you what I wrote in my notes. I wrote testimonial and circled it. So with your permission, I'd love to use that as a testimonial.
Please do.
Um,
Absolutely.
and that's a bonus tip for everybody that's watching or listening. I could have written this down and asked her later. I did it now because she's excited.
Yeah.
You're always going to get a yes when they're excited. And thank you for that. That's exactly what I want to do for people. Any questions we can answer before we wrap up here?
I think I have some follow-on questions that I really do want to kick around with you. Um, I like the idea of a monthly membership and your short-term membership as a first connecting point really intrigues me. So those are areas where I want to explore some more. Um, I know we're short on time, but just a quick question.
Sure.
When you're inviting people into this short-term membership,
Uh-huh.
how are you phrasing that? And how are you connecting with them?
Great question. I usually do it from my community that already exists. Although sometimes I pull people from Medium and it's very non-hypey language. Like if I was going to do one, like when I did that website review, I'd say, "Hey, I'm getting a few people together to just kind of look over your website and give you some feedback on it, so you can make more profit. Um, five of us are going to get together at this time and date, and here's the link if you want to be part of it,
Mhm.
and that's it." Um, and the nice thing is, you only need five or six.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have 25, but you're going to be online for a long time. Um, you don't want to do that. So cool. It is amazing to me, Deborah, how fast 20 minutes goes, even
Me
after
too.
80 something sessions. So we'll have some time to talk, just you and I after, and feel free to ask questions then. So thank you for being such a great guest and bringing such great stuff.
You have been a great host. Thank you so much. This has
My
been
pleasure.
fun.
My pleasure. And folks, thank you for being great fans and making this show what it is. If you want to be sitting in Deborah's seat, not at her home, but in a content profit seat, the link's right below my name. And we would love to see you there. And as always, until next show, it's time for you to go use